Hey guys, welcome to the Tech Points Africa podcast. My name is Muiwa.
I'm Emmanuel.
And I'm Tej.
So Nifemi can't make it today. She's a bit under the weather. If you know her personally, please reach out to her and check on her. And and of course, just a quick disclaimer: we are recording this episode remotely, just like we did last week. So there may be some background noise. There must be so much Nigerianness happening, whether it's sound of generators or the fact that we're not in our studio recording with professional equipment. So please bear with us. Yeah, so what's up, guys? A lot has happened this week, or it seems a lot has happened this week, or not much, relatively speaking.
Funding news related stuff, but yeah, different stuff forms. Yeah.
Last week it was raining funds last week. Really interesting stuff. Anyway, but something happened over the weekend that was very interesting and got people worried, thinking maybe like it's going to affect fintech players. The Central Bank of Nigeria's regulatory financial body, decided to implement a new policy. Emmanuel, you can tell us about that.
Okay, so the policy came out last year in November 2019. December 2019 to be precise, sorry. And you remember when CBN slashed the charges on transfers and ATM maintenance fees and all that, like just right before Christmas. So in that same document where they slashed everything, that was where they introduced charges for failed direct debit transactions. So that direct debit is, it makes it seem as if any company or any individual that puts up his account for automatic deductions, say every month, maybe you are paying a NEPA bill and NEPA is to collect money from your account automatically every month. But so there's this thing going around like, okay, how will this affect recurring payments you set up on Paystack and Flutterwave and the likes of them? So we reached out to their support teams and they clarified that, this will not affect recurring payment. It's actually for direct debit. So it now leads us to, okay, what exactly is direct debit? So it's just like a written order from you, the customer, to your bank, telling your bank that, okay, on so and so date of every month, remove a certain amount from my account and pay it to this person. So in Nigeria, we don't use that often. What we mostly use it for is loans.
Yeah, I was going to ask that.
Yeah, so
loans,
loan providers.
So I guess that's what the policy is for, so that to... Yeah, go ahead.
Yeah. So like you were about to say, is to help loan providers be able to collect their funds, so and reduce the amount of defaulting loans we have in Nigeria. Yeah.
So that's the idea behind. So they are charging, if I'm not mistaken, they are charging 1% of the amount if a direct debit fails because you don't have funds in your account.
Yeah.
Or 5,000 naira, whichever one is greater.
Which one is higher? Yes. So if a direct debit of up to 500,000 naira fails, you are paying 5,000 naira, 500,000 naira below, or anything above 500,000 naira, you'll be paying 1% of that amount. So that's like.
You mean anything below? You mean?
Yeah, anything below, you are paying 5,000. If, for instance, you set up an automatic debit for 400k every month in your account, you'll be made to pay 5,000 naira because 1% of 400k is not 5,000 naira. So you will pay the one that is higher.
So you still pay 5,000.
Yeah, so you pay 5,000.
Oh, so then if it's 1 million, 1% is 100,000. You pay 1%, which is 100,000.
No, 10,000.
That's crazy.
That's 10,000.
Okay, 10,000.
But that kind of ties with wasn't it a few weeks back or a few months back that you did a story on how CBN is trying to tackle default payments, allowing loan providers to withdraw money
from any
using
account,
their BVN.
Yes, any account, any wallet that is linked to your BVN. Then they call it
without any instruction.
So
if you borrowed money from Bank A, and then it's time to collect your payments, but there's no money in your account in Bank A. Bank A can use your BVN to trace other banks or wallets where you have money and withdraw that money without your permission.
Yeah. So
Interesting. So if that is already there, why do they now still have to punish you for not having money in your account? Because since there's already a policy that says if there's no money in your account, you borrowed money, they can check for other accounts linked to your BVN and withdraw. So why would they now? So does it mean now that with this policy, they would, because when they first attempt to debit your account, because there's no money there, you'll be charged, and then because of the other policy, they're gonna get money from your other accounts and withdraw it.
well, it's
So like you'll be punished on two fronts.
yeah, yeah. And the crazy thing is, okay, the punishment came before this other directive that they want to debit any billion linked account you have. So now the
Yeah.
punishment came in December. Then global standing instruction came like 2 or 3 months ago. So I think
Yeah, but they didn't implement this
Yeah, they-
one until over the.
Yeah.
They didn't announce to implement it until over the weekend, which is why everybody was in a frenzy.
But
Yeah,
it was- Okay.
But the main thing now is this is not going to affect recurring payments and fintechs, right?
No,
So
no,
we should
no.
not be worried.
no, no.
It's just direct debits, which not many Nigerians use. Okay. Heritage
Yeah, I
wanted to say
wanted to
something.
like, is it if the fintech companies, like, are they really sure it won't affect recurring payments? Or, I mean, since nobody's really sure about the whole thing, are they really clear on that statement, or is just something to reassure their customers? Because maybe later we probably find out that, I mean, it's actually affecting recurring payments. I'm just asking because it's like the first time I'm hearing about the whole direct debit thing. So I don't know if it has, since it's just been implemented, right? Are they really clear on that?
Oh, direct debit has always been a
I mean,
thing.
you just said they just implemented it over the weekend.
No, they implemented the policy. But direct debit has always been a thing. It's just that it's not very commonly used in Nigeria.
Yeah, so there's actually a regulatory document that describes all that direct debit entails. So if you check that document, you see it has nothing to do with recurring
Okay.
payments. But the only caveat I will point out here is, okay, it's possible for them to update it later
Include recurring
and
payments.
include recurring payments. inside.
Recurrent payments.
But in the current
That would be
state, in the current state, I don't think. Yeah.
Okay, let's move on from the depressing and sad stuff and boring stuff. Okay, still in fintech anyway. OP is wilding. What's going on with OP?
Yeah.
It's been long we heard from OP.
So Opera, the popular browser, they released their financials. Opera is the parent company of the Nigerian fintech company OP, and they stated that OP processed about $1.4 billion in the month of October alone. So they didn't offer much information, but
That's like $500 billion naira.
yeah,
Interesting.
it's really it's interesting and it's quite surprising, and it shows that OP actually used
Yeah.
that super app
To enter the
initiative
market,
to
true.
rope a lot of people in to the payment brackets, like we predicted they would last year when ORED came and started offering a lot of freebies. Yeah, so I think it also ties in with what Imi Abbas, the OP's country manager, told me a few months ago about the number of payments that OP has been processing, both online and offline transactions. And I think that has been their key strategy, being able to process both online and offline payments with a lot of mobile money agents around. And I don't know, from what indication, it seems they are beating Paga and First Money at their own game. So far, so good. So yeah, they also revealed that okay, OPay is planning to expand outside Nigeria very very soon, but they didn't give a specific date. For that.
Expand. Didn't they originally kind of start in Kenya? Okay, they didn't start as OP. It was Opera. It was like the name was something to do with Opera, not necessarily OP. It's when it joined Nigeria that it was, when it came to Nigeria, it was called OP. But they kind of soft launched in Kenya, but
Yeah,
it didn't really
Okash,
pick up,
right?
if I'm not mistaken. You know, they like Opera Mobile Money or something. I can't remember what it was called, but something like that they launched in Kenya. But anyway, yeah, so they want to expand. Interesting.
Yeah, but they didn't mention when or the countries they'll be looking to branch out to for now. But it'll be interesting to look at what their plans are going forward and we wish them the best.
Yeah, so they seem to have figured it out with the whole mobile, offline mobile agent network and all of that, and even with the pandemic. So interesting stuff. Although we can't say for sure whether they are profitable. I mean, these are just transaction volumes. We don't know for a fact what's going on there and whether it's viable and they're profitable enough to start thinking about expansion. But anyway, kudos to them. It's all interesting. Interesting. Okay. Meanwhile, of course, for all the past weeks we've been discussing the West African Startup Decade Report, of which OPA features, having raised so hundreds of millions of naira over the past decade, of dollars, sorry, over the past decade. And then one of the insights from the report seems to show that you are better off having co-founders if you are looking to raise money. What was that about Heritage?
Yeah, so I'll just give a little sneak peek into the report, so not to give everything out and all that. So yeah, like what you just said, from the reports we gathered that, we just covered the millionaire West African startups, right? So startups have raised $1 million plus cumulatively over the past decade, and we saw that if you are a solo founder, right, you probably raise less than if you have a startup with a solo founder will probably raise less than a startup with 2 or 3 plus founders on the team. So it shows that you actually need how do I put it, a couple of founders, or you need 2 or more founders to be able to scale and raise more money in Africa, right? And I spoke with some VCs over the phone this week, and he gave some insights into why that's the case, right? You need someone to help you with the journey when if you're a solo founder and everything is on carrying all the burden, you're going to be stressed out. So you need someone to partner with you, and you need someone to handle the tech and another person to handle the business. So you really find, there are companies like that probably scale and everything. They have just one founder, but majority of the prominent companies have 2 or more founders. So it's just an advice to startups or to solo founders that are trying to scale their startups. It's better to have 2 heads, like they say, is better than one. So yeah, that's
So I'm seeing that among the startups that raised over 15 million, that West African startups that raised over $50 million over the past decade, only one of them has a sole founder. 16 of them have 2 co-founders, and 13 have more than 2 co-founders. That's interesting.
Very interesting. 16
So
startups.
it's looking like you have to have 2 or more founders to increase your chances of raising lots of funds in Africa. And that's interesting because there's always a debate, or should I say the question about, should I go alone, should I go with someone, should I have a co-founder?
Exactly.
Choosing a co-founder can be like getting married. You may choose the wrong partner and
True.
it runs the business down.
Yeah.
So they're always, I remember we have a story from about 3 years ago that was written by Titi. We can put a link in the episode notes about how you should find, what you should look for when you're looking for a co-founder. About do their skills complement yours? Do they have experience? Have they done it before? Do they have contacts and network that you can't reach?
I can leverage on,
stuff like that.
True.
Yeah, because all of those things matter. And I think that's why these startups that are raising so much money is because the people that are on the team, or the co-founders, like the 2 or 3 co-founders, all have different areas of expertise, and they have experience in that. Yeah.
I guess,
so definitely it makes sense that.
Yeah, another thing, I guess the part of the investors, they might look at it like, okay, if it's a solo founder, if he gets tired of the business, he can just run away.
Yeah, probably. Shut everything down. True.
Yeah, but if he has co-founders, if one person gets tired, the others can carry on with the business, and the business does not fall when the co-founder runs away. So I guess that would be another way to look at it too.
But the fact that there's a startup with one founder that raised $50 million shows that there are always going to be exceptions.
I'm even trying to
Yeah.
think
There are always
of
going to be
the startup
exceptions
that
of.
$50 million plus. Wow. Trying to think of startup, but yeah, there will be exceptions, of
Sorry,
course. No, I said I was trying to think of like the startup that has raised this $50 million, the solo founder startup, but I can't. None can pop into my head right now.
yeah. I mean, they're not that common, so you have to even rack your brain before you
But I think Sim
think
might
of
do
people like
that
that.
with
But
you,
they're
lesson.
definitely
Just saying, Shagaya.
okay. So Sim Shagai is probably the only founder of ULSN right now.
Yeah,
But in his own case, there's also the case about serial entrepreneurs,
Yeah.
and even the report shows that serial entrepreneurs also have a better chance of raising more. I mean, he has Emotion that was acquired, he had Deal Day, and then Conga, and then ULSN now. So he definitely has a track record. So yeah, well, interesting stuff. I mean, if you want more insights to that, you can always check our West African Startup Decade report. You visit intelligence.techpoint.africa. We'll also put a link to that in the episode notes. And don't forget, next year we're still hosting the Digital Currency Summit. Emmanuel, tell our listeners more about that.
Okay, so in summary, by January 2021 at 4 Points by Sheraton, we will be hosting some of the biggest and brightest minds.
Lagos, Nigeria.
Yeah, in Lagos, Nigeria. Yeah, we'll be hosting some of the biggest and brightest minds in the world of cryptocurrencies. So we'll be discussing points about regulations, what to look out for when raising money for your crypto startup. Of course, we'll be inviting, ICOs and all that. Of course, we'll be inviting the likes of Yellow Card and some others that have raised money as a crypto startup. And of course, we'll be discussing on a separate note, on a separate conference, we'll have an technical conference for the geeks, the developers, the designers, and people interested in gamifying tokens, advanced UX for crypto, and of course, the blockchain technology. So for those developing new innovations in digital currency, for those who want to do that, and for those who want to just expand their network, please, the Digital Currency Summit for 2021 is the best space to be. Of course, it's going to be a physical conference, and rest assured, we have all the precautions in place to guard against the pandemic. So I would love to see you there. Head over to the website currency.techpoints.africa and register. So that's
register. So we'll put a link to that in the episode notes also. And don't forget, if you're listening for the first time, you can get the podcast on Google Podcasts, Apple Podcasts, Spotify, Stitcher, Hi-Hat Radio, anywhere you get podcasts. And you can also visit podcast.techpoint.africa. If you don't want to use any of those apps, you can still listen to our podcast. And don't forget our sister podcast, Built in Africa. Just search for Built in Africa wherever you get podcasts. And a quick one before we go again, apologies. We are recording this remotely from different locations in Lagos. So there's a lot of background noise all over the place. Apologies for that. Next week we should be in our studio anyway.
Hopefully.
Heritage, any parting words?
Well, yeah, like always, we should stay safe. The year is coming to an end, and we look forward to more exciting news from startups, from the government too, hopefully, and from the tech ecosystem in Nigeria and Africa.
Yeah, looking forward to great things, and especially as we wrap up the year. All right, guys, so we'll catch you next week. Take care and bye.